Hello friends, and welcome back to the 16th part of this series where we'll be creating a chat app using FlutterFlow and Supabase. So in this video, we'll be working on the final parts of our chat app, which is the Add Members button as well as the Leave Group button in our group detail page over here. So let's get right into it right now. Alright, so first let's deal with the Add Members button functionality. So when the user presses on this Add Members button over here, what we want to do is we want to show a pop-up which is similar to our Create Contact component over here. So we want to allow the user to be able to search for some new members which haven't already been added into their chat group. But instead of duplicating the Create Contact component, we want to duplicate the Create Group component, since the Create Group component is the one that allows us to check multiple different members over here and not just one member. So let's right click on this Create Group component and let's duplicate this component over here, and we'll just rename our Create Group component to Add Members component. And we'll also delete some stuff over here. We'll delete this circle image, we'll delete the group name text field, group description text field. And what we want to do is that we want to select the container over here as well. And on the right hand side over here, we'll decrease the height to, let's say, 60 pixels. For the new group text, we'll change new group to Add Members. And instead of this Create Group button text over here, we'll change the text property to Add Members. If we go to the top right hand side over here, we can see that we have some errors, and that's to do with the button action error. So we'll just delete this action chain for now because we don't want that previous action. So for our search users API query, we have to go to our API call. Alright, so what we can do is that we can go over to our top right hand corner over here, and on these three dots we can press on duplicate API call, and we can duplicate our API call over here. So for this API, this new API call, we'll just name it Add Members. And why this API call is needed, why a different one is needed, is because for this API call, we want to exclude all the existing members which are already inside our chat group. So we don't want to include them in our search, and that's the reason why we need a new API call over here. For the headers, it will remain the same, but for the variables, we no longer need this user ID over here since it should be inside our list of UIDs in the chat group as well. So we'll just delete this one, but we need to add a new variable, and this variable will be current members UID. It will be of type string, and for the isList property, we will set it to be false for now, and there's a reason why this is so, and that's because of the syntax for our Postgres API call over here. For our API call over here, we have to change just one portion of it, and that is this portion over here. So all the way from EQ to our user ID variable, we'll just delete that for now, and instead we'll type in in, and we'll type dot, and this time instead of square brackets, we'll type in rounded brackets, and inside the rounded brackets, we'll type in square brackets, and we'll pass in our current members UIDs variable over here. And that should be it for our API call over here. So we can click on save. Now we can go to response and text and try to test it out. For the search string, let's try to see our user data, and we'll try to search for this Google member over here, which has a phone number of 333333333. So we'll type in 3333333. And now for this current members UID, let's try to exclude Amazon and Apple. So we'll copy Apple's UID and we'll paste it over here. And for this UID, it has to be in double open and close brackets. Now going to the end, we'll add a comma, and with no space, we'll copy and paste Amazon's UID over here as well. So once again, double open inverted commas, paste it over here, and double close inverted commas. And make sure that there are no spaces whatsoever between anything in this string over here, in the current member's UID over here. So if we try to test it out, you can see that we have successfully returned the Google member over here. What happens if we also include Google's UID into this API call now? So make sure that there are no spaces, and make sure to use double open and close inverted commas. So see, this string inside the open and close brackets have no space whatsoever. So we can test this API call, and now it should return null, which is exactly what we want. So that shows that our API is working, and we can click on save. And now we can implement this API into our app for this add members component over here. So with the search users text field selected, we'll open the action flow editor, and we'll go to the on change event. And now instead of this search users API call, we want to choose the add members API call, and we want to add variables as well. So we want to add firstly the search string variable. This variable will be simply the widget state, and it will be the search users text field over here. And the next variable will be the current members UID. Now for this current members UID, it will be a bit more complicated. For this current members UID, you want to have access to our chat members list over here. So in order to have access to this chat members list, we have to pass it into our component via a new component parameter. So we'll just close out of it for now, and we'll go to our add members component. And under component parameters over here, we'll add a new component parameter. And this will be chat members UID. For the type, it'll be of type string, and it'll be of type is list. So you can confirm. And now we go back to our search users text field. And now we want to not pass the chat members UID list directly, as this variable expects a string. But instead, we want to go down all the way to code expression. And we want to add an argument, and this argument will be our chat members UID. It will be of type string and is list to be true, and the value over here will be our component parameters chat members UID. And now under expression over here, we want to return chat members UID dot join, JOIN, open bracket, double open inverted comma, and then it'll be a comma, and close, double close inverted comma, and close bracket. Now we can check for errors, and no errors. We can click on confirm, and this should be done over here. So we can just close this now. So we can go back to our group detail page over here, and we can select the add members component button, and we open the action flow editor, and we can search for bottom sheet, and we can show the bottom sheet. And under this component over here, we'll just select the new add members component. We also have to pass the chat members UID parameter over here, and this will be our page parameter, the chat members list, and we can click on confirm. Now we can close this, but one more function for the add members component over here is the actual inserting or updating of our Supabase role in our chat table. So with the add members button selected over here, we'll open the action flow editor, and we'll search for Supabase. And this time, instead of inserting a new row, we want to update rows. We want to update the chats table, and for matching rows, we want to add a filter, And we only want to update the row where the ID is equal to our chat ID, which we also have to pass inside our component parameter. So we have to create a new component parameter, and this will be chat ID. And after updating the row, we'll just close our dialog drawer etc. So it'll close this automatically. Oops, and I forgot to actually update the row itself. So for under the fields over here, we want to update our chat members column over here. And for this, it will simply be a new code expression. And the first argument will be the current chat. It will be the current members UID. It will be of type string and is list. The value will be our component parameters chat members UID. And we also want to add a second argument. And for this second argument, we'll give it the name of added members UID, which are the newly selected members to be added to the chat group. It will be of type string and it will be of type is list as well. So for the value over here, now the value we want to give it is the widget state, and it will be the checked items list over here. For available options, we want to map list items, and we only want to get the JSON path. And for the JSON path, we only want to get the list of UIDs. So it'll be .uid to get the UIDs over here. We can click on confirm. And now this should return the list of our added members UIDs. Now we'll just have to join both lists. So it will be current members UID and plus added members UID. Now we can click on check for errors, and now there are no errors, so it's good to go. We can click on confirm, and that should successfully update our Supabase table with the newly added members UID. So now we can close this and we can go back to our group detail page. So going back to our add members button over here, we need to open the ActionFlow editor once more. Since we added a new component parameter, we have to pass the chat ID also. So this will simply be the page parameters and it will be the chat ID over here. Now we can click on close, and that should be it for our add members function. Now let's deal with the leave group function. This should be a little bit simpler. So we can open the ActionFlow editor for the leave group function, and we no longer want to delete the row over here. So we'll delete this action chain. And instead of deleting the row, we simply want to update our Supabase table to remove the current user's UID from the chat members list over here. So all we have to do is we have to search for Supabase, and we want to update rows. For the table, it will be the chats table. And for matching rows, we'll add a filter, and this filter will be where ID is equal to the chat ID from our page parameter. And we want to set the new field, we want to set the field of our chat members list. We have to create a new custom function over here. So let's just create a new function. And for the function name, we'll give it update chat members UID. For the return value, it will be a string, and it will be of type string is list to be true and nullable to be false. We also have to define some arguments over here. So the first argument will be our current members UID. It will be of type string and is list to be true, nullable to be false. and we have to add one last argument over here, which is the user ID, the current user ID. So it will be of type string as well, and it won't be nullable since we will always have an authenticated user's UID. So for this code over here, we have to add this code, which is current members UID dot remove open bracket, and this is the user ID, and we'll end off this line with a semicolon. So this will remove the user ID from this current members UID list. And now we have to return open bracket current members UID. So this will return the newly updated list over here. So now we can save this function over here, and now we'll pass in the function arguments. So for the current members UID, it will be the chat members list, and for the user ID, it will be under authenticated user ID right here. So now we can click on confirm, and this should update our chat members list. And one final action that we have to add is that we have to, after updating our row and leaving the chat, we have to navigate back to our home page right here. So now we can click on close, and we still have some errors. And this error is just to check the function to make sure that it's sound. So let's just allow FlutterFlow to check the function, and once it's checked, the error should be gone, and now our chat app should be completely done. So now let's try testing it out in our test mode one last time. Alright, so test mode is just loaded up. Let's first try creating a new chat group. And let's search for some members over here. Let's just try adding one member so later we can add the other member inside our group. So let's add Amazon for now, and we can click on create group. And now the Axolotls Are Cute group has been created. So we can tap into that group, and if we see there are two members, namely Amazon and Google, which is the current user. So now we want to add Apple into this group. So let's try adding the new Apple member. So if we search for 1, which is Apple's number, we can see that Apple is over here. And now if we try to add Apple by clicking on this, you can see that nothing happens over here. But if we go over to Supabase and our chat table, and under our chat members list over here, we can see that there are 3 chat members over here now, and that shows us that Apple has been updated and added into the chat. So one way of checking will be to go back, and going back here. So let's try instant reloading manually first to check that Apple has indeed been added into our chat group. So if we go into our Axolotls Are Cute chat group once more, and we check over here, we can see that now there are 3 members, Apple, Amazon, and Google. So this shows us that our chat group functionality, add members functionality works, and we just have to change and update our UI whenever we add a new member. So in our group detail page over here, and in our add member container, we need to open the action flow editor once more, and we need to add a new action, which is to refresh our database request after we add a new member. And for this widget, it will be the list view. So after doing this, the UI should be refreshed, and now after adding a member, it should reflect over here as well. So now let's try testing out the leave group functionality. So if we press on leave group, we see that we are now back in our chat homepage, and in our Supabase table, if we refresh our Supabase table and we check our chat members group over here, we can see that our UID has been removed from our chat members group over here. However, we can still see that in our chat homepage, we are still able to access the Axolotls are cute group over here, which should not be the case. Let's try to see what's going on over here. So we can go back to our home page. List view selected over here. Let's go to our backend query and let's check our chat query. Oh, and it looks like we forgot to add a filter over here, and that's why it's showing all the chats available. So we have to add a filter over here. And for this filter, we have to check if our chat members and if our chat member list contains our authenticated user's user ID. And so now our Supabase query will only return the chats where our user ID is inside the chat members. So now we can go to our test node once more and instant reload. And now when we instant reload, since we already left the group as Google, we should no longer be able to see the I love Axolotls chat. Yep, and as you can see, it's only Amazon now. Alright, so that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed journeying with me on this journey to create a chat app together, going through all the problems together, trying to figure out what's wrong and trying to find solutions to solve them as well. In the next video, we'll be adding some final touches to the app, such as this last message sent and last message time functionality that I forgot to add, as well as the edit chat description and chat name function, which I also forgot to add in the previous videos. So see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.